What up, everybody? It's your boy, DFS Up North, aka Josh Thomas from the Sharp app, and we are here today to talk about the Travelers Championship outright bets. Before we get to the Travelers Championship, though, this week in Cromwell, Connecticut, let's talk a little bit about Jon Rahm. Man, what a performance. What a back nine on Sunday. How fun was that to watch? I mean, I personally love everybody struggling. And that's my jam. Bryson, I had money on Bryson, beating Brooks Koepka. But I tell you what, Bryson going bogey, quad, that's my jam. I love seeing these guys struggle out here. It's a lot of fun for me to watch and say, hey, this is what golf is, right? Guys are really good one day and they're really struggle the next day. That's just kind of the way it is. And unfortunately for some people, a lot of money changed hands over, the course of 9 holes there. But Johnny Rahm took it down. We talk about karma and guys coming back from, from a tough situation, the Moria. And I'll say this, Jon Rahm has a fan in me now. The way that he handled the situation last week, the way that he kept talking about it this week, he's mature beyond his years because he's still a pretty young guy. I was saying yesterday, to my wife, that, man, it feels like he's been around forever and he's still so young. So Jon Rahm winning, it was a blast to watch. I was thankful that it wasn't some, no offense to our Canadian listeners or aunt, and it wasn't a rando like Mackenzie Hughes. But our U.S. Open recap. So always want to, talk a little bit about how we did the week before on these free betting shows. So for outrights, we risked 1.25 units and we returned 0.0. No hits on our 5 outright bets. And those of you who are maybe new to golf betting, it's pretty standard, right? You're not going to hit a winner every week. Now, my boy John Alicia, Statsational, in the Sharp app, he tipped Jon Rahm, which good for him. Congratulations, my man. That was a great pick. I kind of went the different route. I didn't go with the heavy favorite here. I went with Xander. He made a run. Just the putter failed him all week. A couple of guys that really hurt me in DFS and last week, Terrell Hatton and Abraham Answer just couldn't quite get the putters going. But we did, so we risked 1.25 units, returned 0. But our head-to-head and group and 3-ball and round bets are really, like I said last week in our show, that those are where we make our bread and butter. Unfortunately, not quite enough bet on them to cover the losses here, but Bryson over Brooks, obviously, with that Sunday, not quite. But we had our boy Guido beating Wilco Niederbauer and Cameron Young in that 3-ball at plus 200. We bet 0.3 units on that, 0.5 units. That was a nice little plus 200 win for us. The free money bet, Shane Lowry over Francesco Molinari and Henrik Stenson just didn't quite get her done. Molinari essentially out of nowhere really played well. Stenson did what we thought he was going to do and struggled. And Shane Lowry made the cut, but wasn't quite there. Taylor Pendrith just missed the cut to be able to contend. But with the way Mac Hughes played, I mean, this was a bet. There was 4 Canadians. We're dealing with Corey Connors, who's the heavy favorite here, and we've got Adam Hadwin and Mackenzie Hughes. Hadwin hasn't made a cut. Mackenzie Hughes went 6 cuts in a row. Missed. Did not play on the weekend for 6 weeks in a row. Comes out in top 5s in the major. Are you kidding me? How does that happen? So, and then a shuffler 3-ball in round 1 plus 200. So for the week, we risked 2.55 units, returned 1.4 for a 1.14 unit loss for golf, which isn't that bad, considering, right? We kind of, play our weeks for the outright winners and hopefully, that can carry us through the season. So, TPC River Highlands. So this week, it is the week after a major. We got a major hangover week, and we are heading across country to Cromwell, Connecticut, to TPC River Highlands. So this is a Pete Dye design and a Bobby Weed renovation. Bobby Weed is a Pete Dye disciple. All right, so Weed designed where we play the Heritage at Hilton Head. He was helping Pete Dye there. Pete Dye designed this in 1982. In 1988, what ended up happening is the group that owned TPC River, it was TPC Connecticut, I believe, back then, who owned this course, were able to purchase land to, I believe, the west of the course, and they were able to expand. All right. When they built this course initially, it was really, they had to. The routing was kind of iffy. They had to really kind of squeeze things in. Now they were able to expand. Dye didn't have time to work on it because at that point he was doing the Kiowa, where we just played the PGA Championship. So Bobby Weed was the one who came in and worked on this, I believe. With I could be completely wrong here in saying that it was with Roger Maltby, but it's another tour pro. But Bobby Weed, excellent designer, and really, some people say this is a P-tie design. It is going to trick you up off the tee a little bit. It's going to be tight. The green complexes are very similar to P-tie courses, and I think that is guys who have success on P-tie courses are going to have success here. People love the tour pros love this event. They are treated really, really, really well. The Travelers does a great job. 35, 35, 70, not 71, and 68, 41. That is a very, very short course. All right. And we'll get to that in a second. Greens, bent grass. We are pretty much bent grass, fairway or tee to green here. The rough is Kentucky bluegrass and fescue mix, which the pros are going to be very, very happy about after having to play in the Kikuyu rough last week. But bent grass tee to green is not something that tour pros are very used to. This is one of the only courses that has that for the year. So guys who are good on bent grass may be a way in on betting, DFS, things like that this week. And so tight fairways in a short course. So the idea is maybe that, hey, we want to play guys who are, going to hit fairways, hit greens, be able to putt a little. But really what we've seen here in winners in the past, we've got guys like DJ. Mark Leishman's played really well here. Bubba Watson's a 3-time champ. So these guys that are, long, right, are really dominating on this course. Now, Ches Reeves won. Guys like Brian Armour's played well here. Brian Stewart, some of these, Michael Thompson, some of these shorter guys and Kevin Streelman do well here. But what we've seen is that some of these bombers are able to club down. I think DJ hit like 2 drivers last year, if that, on 18 holes. He pulled out his hybrid on most holes. So these guys that are able to club down, when they club down, what happens, right? They're able to find more fairways, but their length is still there. So they're using a less volatile club to find the fairways. And that's, sometimes why we continue to say that distance is a huge advantage. So that's going to play a role in some of our betting strategies this week. Like I said in previous shows, my weekly betting strategy, I usually only play about 3 to 4 units a week, 1 to 2 units on outrights, 1 to 1.5 units on round matchups, T5, T10, 1 to 1.5. I did add my T10 bets into here this week to hopefully help our numbers a little bit, because personally, I didn't put that in the show last week, but my T10 bets on Xander and stuff actually helped me have a slightly positive week last week. But we didn't get into the video, so I'm not claiming it as my actual ROI. So here we go. Our 5 outright bets. And this was originally 4. I had this built with 4. And as I started to do my research for DFS for the week, I just kept coming back to a name, and it was the guy that I had to get in. So you'll see him at the end. But let's start with a guy who has dominated at Travelers. He's got 3 top 5s in his last 5 years. He's a much better bent grass putter than any other surface, because that is what he's grown up on playing in England. He was 4th at the PGA, 7th at the US Open the last 2 times out. Hasn't lost strokes approach since last October. And that guy is Paul Casey. Plus 1,800, 0.5 units on DraftKings. I really, really, really like Paul Casey this week, and I jumped on this number right away this morning because I have a little bit of concern here. The field is pretty stacked, and like I said earlier, tour pros love coming here and playing, but and it's possible that guys are going to maybe get a weekend after the U.S. Open, take a couple weeks off, and then head over for the British Open, maybe play the Irish Open before. But I think we're going to see some more WDs here, and I think we're going to see some withdrawals at the top of the board. And what's going to happen then is that 18 is going to drop down to like a 12. So I jumped on Casey right away, 1,800, 0.5 units, to win 3.6 units. Love Casey this week. He's a lock and load cash play in DFS. Definitely a guy that I'm going to be on. And before we keep going here, if you guys have not, obviously, I feel like if you're probably recognizing the Sharp app, you know about DFS Army, but we have 3 different guys win 100,000 last week. Are you kidding me? Including one in DFS Golf on FanDuel, which is awesome. So excited for those guys. Next up, we have a guy from the Northeast, from this area. You got to play Keegan Bradley in the Northeast. That is a narrative. You have to do it, and I am betting him here at plus 5,000. One of the best tee to green over the last few months. He's a former runner-up here. Loves the Northeast, loves these bent grass tee to green. This is what he grew up playing. The guy's been just a monster lately. He's, had he played last week, I think that, and played well, which he should. He's been playing really well lately. I think we'd see this number more like 0.3 or plus 3,500, plus 4. So we're getting some value here at 5,000, 0.3 units to win. You know what? We'll see at the end here. I think it's like 10 points something. Kevin Streelman. Is there a hotter golfer on the planet right now? It's crazy to think when you look at the gray hair and the stupid glasses on the back, but Streelman has been outrageous lately. Contended in 2 majors. Like, Kevin Streelman, you're 45 years old. What are you doing contending in 2 majors in a row as a career journeyman? The guy's been great, and the key is that his stroking gain approach, his iron play has been outstanding. And what we've seen of guys who win here is you need to be crushing it approach. This is a second shot course. As much as, there's going to be the narrative this week about driving accuracy, about finding fairways, like, he is a guy that, like, it's a second shot course. He's shown that here time and time again. He does hit a lot of fairways, sure, but his resurgent form is really, due to this elite iron play. 3 top 15s here in the last 4 years, runner-up last year, and a winner in 2014 at this event. I think that 3,500 is a great value number. I was betting him probably all the way down to 25 this week. Technically this was my last bet for the week, but as I said earlier, I added one more at the end, but we are going right back to my boy Guido. Hey, Garrett Higgle won in his second start on tour. Why not Guido, right? The guy was fantastic last week. Just put up a number in the final round, climbed up the board, finished T4 at the U.S. freaking Open in his first start in the United States, which is insane. He's so good tee to green. Be very, very comfortable on bent. That's what they predominantly play on in the European Tour. I think he's a better T10 bet, which we're going to get to here in a second. But 0.15 units at plus 12,500, like 12,500, like that's, I'll hit that every day of the week on a guy like this. I know some guys, when they originally dropped him this morning, he was like plus 200, which is insane. But I think I had him at plus 125 earlier today. And finally, my boy, Abraham Answer, plus 9,500. Like I said, recent results have been mediocre, but his Tory history, I didn't even write any notes on him. We'll get to it here in a second. But Abraham Answer is a guy that I kept coming back to. He is a Pete Dye, like over his last 25 rounds, he is number 1 on Pete Dye courses in total strokes gained. This is a perfect course fit for him. I love Abe Answer at 3,200. That is 0.3 units to win 9.6. So my outright bets for the week, I had 0.5 units on Casey to win 9. I've got 0.3 units on Bradley to win 15. 0.3 units on Streelman to win 10.5. 0.3 units on Guido to win 37.5. Man, would that be a great hit? And then 0.3 units on Abraham Answer to win 9.6. So we are looking at 1.7 units in outright bets this week. Right along kind of where I said I wanted to be, maybe a little high, but because I don't like betting guys at plus 1,800, and mostly because when you do, you gotta spend a little bit more, right? So that 0.5 unit is not necessarily something that I usually go to. My top 10s, I'm not top 10ing or top 5ing Paul Casey. It just doesn't make sense. I think that the plus 300 is not a great number for him there. But Keegan Bradley, T10, 0.3 units to win 1.2 at 400, I think is good value. Streelman, plus 300. Guido, this is my favorite bet of the week. The Guido top 10, 0.3 units to win 3.3 plus 1,100. Like I said last week, there's some of these bets that just can carry you week to week, and this is I think a really, really good value. And then Abe Answer, 0.5 units to win 1.25 at plus 250. That might be my second favorite bet of the week. These two are my favorites so far this week. So, like I said, TPC River Highlands. It's going to be a fun week. I think, like I said, get your bets in now, because I think what we're going to see is maybe a Bryson. We're going to see a DJ, a Brooks. Somebody like that is going to pull out, and that's going to shift the odds dramatically for some of these guys. Then I think we might see another guy pull out, and then we're going to see an even bigger shift in odds. So guys like Abe Answer at plus 3.33 might be plus 22 by the time we tee off on Thursday. So get your bets in now. Check it out. I will have content up for you guys hopefully on Wednesday with my head-to-head, my week-long, my round matchup, my group betting, things like that. Check it out. Sharp app. See you guys later.